afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Bayou Bets for Monday, April the 10th. I'm Zach Ewing. Along with me today is Spencer, the Guru Urquhart. Jim Derry is off for the afternoon. He'll be back on Thursday when we are back at 4 o'clock. Spencer will be back with you tomorrow for the Fantasy Roundup at 4 o'clock as well. But for today, he's here for Bayou Bets. Spencer, it's been a good sports weekend. Hope you had a good Easter weekend. We had a Masters. We have an NBA play-in tournament set and playoff field kind of half set. So lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, most definitely, Zach. Yeah, first off, glad to be back. Happy Easter to you and all the listeners out there. And it was definitely a great sports weekend. Masters was pretty cool and had a lot of MLB action. And, of course, the NBA. Shame that the Pels ended how they did. I mean, they had the 8 seed in their grasp and let it slip away. I know we'll get to them here in a little bit, but Pels, it's just been such a frustrating season.
Yeah, lots of Pels talk on the show today. We've got one editor here at The Advocate who calls them a cursed franchise, and you always kind of roll your eyes when you hear that. But, man, weekends like this, and you just start to think, nobody else that they needed to lose even played anyone who was trying to win. Like, we can talk about the Suns, and I personally think it'll backfire on the Suns that they didn't even – KD's only played 9 games with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Oh, well, we don't need to win. Why would we play these guys? And they could have – not that the Pels ended up losing anyway, but, I mean, it was just one of those things where they couldn't get any of the help they needed. They couldn't take care of their own business. Zion's another negative update today from Shams that he's not even close. I mean, we'll get to freaking Zion.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Done. He's done. Forget it. He's done.
And this is coming from someone who's – I'm not even a Pels fan. I'm not from New Orleans. But it's ridiculous. The whole situation is ridiculous. So, yeah, the Pelicans will play the Thunder as we look at our headlines in the 9-10 game. That's on Wednesday. Same game they were in last year against San Antonio. If you survive that game, then 2 days later you go on the road and play whoever loses between the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Last year that game was the Clippers and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves won. Pels went and beat the Clippers. This year it will be the Lakers or the Timberwolves. You go on the road to whoever loses that game on Friday. Look, Pels are favored against OKC. They would be underdogs. We just saw them lose to Minnesota. I think they'd probably be even bigger underdogs to the Lakers at this point. So it's a long shot, but we'll talk about that. Jon Rahm dominates the Masters, especially on Sunday. He entered Sunday. They'd only finished actually less than half of the third round, and he was trailing by 4 strokes and ended up winning by 4 strokes. So you talk about dominating one day. Jon Rahm did that at Augusta. In the NFL draft, Bryce Young now the favorite to be the number 1 pick. He was originally. Then it was C.J. Stroud when the Panthers got the pick, and now it's back to being Bryce Young. So he could be in the NFC South. And number 1 LSU baseball splits 2 games with number 6 South Carolina. The same weather that affected Augusta wiped out the 3rd game of that series. So they only get 2 games in. So those are our headlines. Also out there, Spencer, Odell Beckham Jr., former LSU standout, of course, looking for a job. He lands in Baltimore, finds himself as a Raven, which to you means more about Lamar Jackson than it does about OBJ.
Yeah, for sure. This tells me that Lamar Jackson's going to be a Raven next year. He had to tweet it out, the trade request and all that. People are thinking, oh, well, he wants out of there. He might get traded. But to me, if he's out there actively recruiting players to come to Baltimore, he's going to stay in Baltimore at least for 2023. At the very least, he'll just stay on the franchise tag if they can't agree to the long-term deal. Because, yeah, Odell would not have gone there if he was wondering if Lamar would be there or not.
Yeah. Daniel is here. Hello to Daniel. He says B.I.'s under. I agree with you. I think B.I. is a terrific player, but he needs some help. So, yeah, let's dig on the Pels. I agree with you. I think Lamar Jackson, that tells me he's back in Baltimore. But let's dig in on the Pels, and we do want to know what you think. How will the Pelicans do? You can go to bet.NOLA.com and vote. This is specific to the play-in tournament. So will they win both games this week and reach the playoffs for a 2nd straight season? Will they beat the Thunder Wednesday but lose the Friday game? Or will they crash out against Oklahoma City after kind of the disappointment of the weekend? Daniel says Lakers Pels maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That'll take an upset. Yeah, if Lakers lose to Minnesota. So let's dig into that and see what we think. Starting with the Thunder and the Pels on Wednesday night. It's a late game. This is life in the Western Conference. 8:30 p.m. tip-off. Pelicans started as a 3.5-point favorite, quickly bet up to 5, Spencer. I got a bad feeling about this. I mean, obviously the Pelicans are favored. It doesn't feel the same as last year when they had a worse record, but getting the 9 seed kind of felt like a victory, and it's like, oh, hey, we got the momentum and let's go see what we can do. This year feels different.
Right. Yeah, this year feels like they have no momentum. I mean, especially after Sunday. You know, you had a chance to beat Minnesota, get the 8 seed, at least get a little momentum going to offset the Zion stuff. But now you've got, I mean, Zion's pretty much announced that he's done, to where it's like, you know, you're not going to have Zion, and your backs are against the wall here, and you're at home. But the Thunder are a young team that can score points in bunches. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and those guys, they're not just a pushover. I mean, they kind of backed their way in due to the Mavericks collapse, but when they're on, they can score a lot. So I'm worried about the Pels in this spot. I don't like it this year. They had a chance to improve upon number 9, and they ended up at number 9 again. To me, they're probably going to come up flat.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't want to bet against their own team, but you can get Oklahoma City plus 185 on the money line. Worth a look to me. I mean, last year the Pels were the team with nothing to lose in this spot. Now OKC feels like that team to me. Nothing to lose. Nobody expects you to win. I guess if I had to guess, the Pels win that game. And that brings us to the other play-in games. In the Eastern Conference on the left side of your screen, it's Hawks and Heat Tuesday. And the winner of that is in as the 2 seed. And the reward would be to go play the Celtics. And then the Bulls and Raptors is the Wednesday game. Winner of that plays the loser of Hawks and Heat. And then in the West, you see the Lakers, big 7.5-point favorites against the Wolves. That 8 seed, boy. I mean, I know, look, the Pelicans would have been underdogs probably around the same number in LA as well. But at least then you know you're coming back home to face Minnesota or OKC. Such a huge difference to know that even best case scenario, you're probably looking at another trip to Minnesota here on Friday.
Right. Yeah. It's Minnesota's got a lot of turmoil right now with Rudy Gobert and stuff. They're in shambles. So if the Pels do get past the Thunder, I think they beat Minnesota on the road. The thing is, I don't see them getting past the Thunder. I'll be real. I just don't see it. I think the Pels after Sunday are just going to come out flat. And maybe the Thunder, maybe SGA will be not on. And in that case, the Pels might win kind of an ugly game. But I think if Oklahoma City comes out shooting hot and plays with that we've got nothing to lose mentality, I don't see the Pels getting it done. I've been pretty positive about the Pels this season, but from what I've seen lately, I'm off the train. I hate to say it, but I see the Pels getting bounced early.
Yeah, I don't know. You lose to a team with Love's truck stop patches on their uniforms, and that puts a sour taste in your mouth for the offseason. So I think they'll probably win. I will say this. I mean, the excitement level, like you talk about, if things had broken just a little bit differently yesterday, the Pels could be hosting the Lakers on Tuesday for a spot at the playoffs. And oh my God, like the Smoothie King Center would be just hopping for that game. I actually had bought 4 tickets to the first play-in game. Got kind of an early bird special because I had bought tickets earlier in the season. And so I bought 4 tickets thinking, well, maybe I'll take one of my sons and then I'll sell the other 2 tickets. And if it's Pels Lakers or Pels Clippers or Pels Warriors or somebody for a spot in the play, like I can sell those things at double face value and I'll pay for my own tickets. Well, instead it's Pels Thunder and I can't even get face value for 2 of them. I've got them posted right now, and everybody else is underselling me. I'm going to have to lower the price on. Like, there's just no excitement for this game at all.
No, yeah, and that's I hate to say it, but that's probably going to reflect it within the team. I mean, after losing that Sunday, I don't see how this team's going to come out fired up. But this is going to be a test for Willie Green, though. If Willie Green can get this team fired up and out of this, I'll be impressed, because I think if so, then they will make the 8 seed, because I think the Pels in a rematch against the Timberwolves would win, because the Timberwolves, the Pels are in bad shape, but the Timberwolves, I think, are even in worse shape, because they've got a clear divide in that locker room. Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson, those guys are not seeing eye to eye. And I believe his name is Jaden McDaniels had broke his hand or something where he's out, and he was one of their key role players. So Yeah, if the Pels win, I think they get in, but I just don't really see where they win. They just don't have any momentum.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I do like the idea of a rematch where Minnesota's got to beat you twice in the same week, and that's always tough to do. I, the Timberwolves played better with once Rudy Gobert left that game after he hit Kyle Anderson yesterday. So, Rudy Gobert's going to be suspended. He got a 1-game suspension. He'll miss the Tuesday game against the Lakers. So if the Timberwolves lose that game and then he comes back for the Friday game, could that work against Minnesota? What do you think? What do you think the line would be? Pelicans at Timberwolves. It closed at 3, I believe. Minnesota -3 yesterday. Do you think it's similar to that, or do the Pels see a little bit of steam if they get Minnesota again?
Yeah, I think it'd be similar to that. I think it could. They probably would make it like 2.5. I think it'd be 2.5 because I think a lot of sharp money would come in on the Pels because they'd see, well, this team got some momentum. Minnesota's kind of in shambles. Like, I think the sharps would hammer the Pels, and then in that case, it might get to 2 or maybe even 1.5.
Yeah, could be. It was 2.5 for a little while on Sunday, and then back up to 3 by tip-off. El Rey's comment: Zion quit on the season. How can they get up at the Stars? We'll get to Zion. That's
They
a
did
little
it last
foreshadowing
year.
for our
They
rants
did it
later.
last year.
My thing on that is twofold. One is that I think the team probably has known longer than the public has that Zion's not playing in these games, and so I don't think it affects them as much as it affects the fans. I think they probably know. Like, look, he's not coming back. And the second part of that is, did Zion quit on the team, or is the team holding Zion back because they're afraid he's going to get hurt again? And that's going to be part of my rant on this too, because I just don't think they're treating Zion like he's a mature. I mean, this is his 4th year in the league, right? Like, he's not being treated as that, and maybe he doesn't deserve to be treated as that. I don't know, but somebody's at fault here, and I'm not sure it's 100% Zion. Shantae, hello to you. Let's move on, Spencer. Let's talk a little bit of Masters. The Masters finished up on Sunday. Jon Rahm just dominated, as I said. He finished 12 under, 4-shot win over Brooks Koepka, who faded fast, and Phil Mickelson, who was 200 to 1 to win this thing. And you could have gotten a top 5 bet on him, probably at 10 to 1. So, or better. Excuse me. So yeah, some surprises in here. What did you think of the tournament?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. The live golfers showed out with Phil and Brooks Koepka. But yeah, Jon Rahm, I was surprised he did that well. Considering the weather conditions. I'd listened to y'all's show from last week, with Uncle Big Nick, and the concern was that Rahm, yeah, he's a heavy favorite, been playing great in 2023, but that the weather might affect his game. But on Sunday, he just freaking dominated, to where the weather obviously wasn't as bad on Sunday. So he just came out strong, and it was fun to watch. I'm not a huge golf guy, but I mean, seeing him there, it was kind of nice to see him get it done, because if Brooks or Phil would have won, all the conversation would be like, oh, Liv won, what, blah, blah, blah. It would have been a whole political thing. So I'm glad Rahm won. And also it's a shame to see Tiger withdraw, seeing him in pain like that and having to withdraw. That was tough to watch.
Yeah, I think quick comment from Neil here saying it's the team. I don't think you're wrong, Neil. I'm not 100% sure what that mix is, but it's a weird situation, and I do not think the Pelicans are handling it well for the second straight year. Really, and let's be honest, going the COVID year, the year they finished in the bubble, I don't think they handled that well. So we're going 3 out of 4 years now. The Pelicans have not handled the Zion situation well at all. Yeah, live golfers crazy, secret bonuses on the line. That's a good point too. I could see that. The PGA Tour was certainly glad to see Rahm win. He really showed a steady hand. I mean, the guy double bogeyed his first hole of the tournament, and that was on Thursday in prime conditions. And it was also, by the way, probably the only time you could have gotten him all weekend at better than that plus 900 price is right after that double bogey. You might have been able to get like a 12 to 1 or a 15 to 1 on him, something like that. And then he immediately birdies 2, birdies 3s back to even par. He was 7 under by the end of the first round, and he was less than 5 to 1 all weekend after that, and it comes through. So now the question, Spencer, can Jon Rahm win another major this year? You don't see guys win 2 in the same year too often. Scotty Scheffler was this guy last year. He's red hot. won the match play, won Phoenix, and also won the Masters last year, and then didn't win. He didn't win any tournaments the rest of the season. So could that be Jon Rahm? He's 9-1 to win each of the last 3 majors. All of them clearly a little bit different. The next one's the PGA Championship, which is up in New York this year. U.S. Open's in L.A., and then of course the British Open to end the major season. He certainly seems like the kind of guy who could win another one.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. At these odds, though, I probably wouldn't take it. 9-1 is kind of, juicing it to where he's the hot golfer, so you're going to have to pay up. But, yeah, if I was going to take him, he's on such a heater, I'd probably take him to win the PGA. I think he might win back-to-back. He's playing that well right now. It's just not really any value, though, at that price.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Yeah, they're Oak Hill in Rochester, New York next month for the PGA. It's May 18th through the 21st. That's the next major. Well, these guys are all almost back this week, by the way. They're playing in South Carolina at the RBC Heritage, an elevated event. Rory McIlroy withdrew after missing the cut. That's the other shock from the Masters. Rory McIlroy was the second favorite to win the tournament. He was plus 700. He was minus 1,400 to make the cut. And he wasn't even all that close. The cut actually moved Saturday morning to 3 over, but he was like 5 over. So he withdrew from the RBC Heritage. I don't know if something's physically wrong with Rory or if he just needs a mental break at this point. He looked fine. His last time out at the match play, he made the semifinals. So he looked fine. But that one was a shock to me too.
Yeah, Rory's just he's been around for a while. He's one of the top golfers, but he seems like he's kind of streaky though. Sometimes he'll look like the best, and other times he'll just kind of blow up. So yeah, he's not someone I tend to want to bet on because he just doesn't always seem the most reliable.
Yeah, and that's golfers, right? Like
that's just the nature of the
Scheffler
beast.
was top of the world last year, like Rahm is this year, and not that Scotty was terrible the rest of the year, but he didn't win another tournament. It's hard to do. So if I'm looking at the PGA, I might look down the board a little bit. Could a guy like a Xander Schauffele come up, who is always in contention but never seems to win these majors? Jordan Spieth, who hasn't won one in a while. Justin Thomas won last year's PGA Championship. Victor Hovland sooner or later is going to win one. He was in contention this week for a while. Will Zalatoris, by the way, out for the season, back surgery, so he withdrew as well. So yeah, changing landscape, but it'll be interesting when we get the live guys back in and we pick that up next month at the PGA. So we will certainly talk more golf. For today, going to move on here on Bayou Bets. We're brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Zach Ewing and Spencer the Guru with you today on this Monday. Drop us a like, a subscribe on our Bayou Bets YouTube channel. We're growing slowly but steadily over there. And we will show your comment live on the air. Going to move in to some NFL draft talk here. Caesars Sportsbook's got odds up for the Saints' first pick. Which position will they take? And I don't know about you, Spencer. I'm a little surprised, and I've been the one telling Jim for weeks, I think they take a defensive tackle. I don't know if it's going to be the first pick, but it's going to be one of the first 2 picks. They need more help at defensive tackle. They could actually use some help at defensive end as well. I think it's a safe bet. I don't think I would lay minus 140 on it.
Right, yeah, it's I was surprised. I did the little write-up on it. I was like, man, it's a heavy favorite for defensive line / edge, and I get it because it encompasses a lot of players. Defense. It's not just defensive tackles, but also pass rushers, which I could see him going with either of those because he lost David Onyemata, Shai Tuttle, and Marcus Davenport this offseason and didn't really replace him with anybody that substantial. They signed those 2 defensive tackles, but neither of them are proven starters. So I understand why it's a heavy favorite, but that much, though, minus 140, no value, though. I started going down, tight end, running back, probably not going to happen. The Saints don't tend to draft those positions first. And then wide receiver, it took Olave first last year. So to me, the value here is offensive line at plus 800. I think there's a chance the Saints go O-line again because under Mickey Loomis, they tend to address offensive line early and often. And with Andres Pete getting up there, I could definitely see him going interior because they took Penning last year to tackle and then, of course, have Ramczyk. So I think it'll either be a defensive lineman or an interior offensive lineman.
Yeah, I could see some value there. Here's the full odds, by the way. This includes some of the longer shots. Offensive line plus 800 defensive back. If they draft a quarterback with the first pick, then Derek Carr is going to come for him with pitchforks. If they draft a kicker or a punter with the first pick, then everybody will come for him with pitchforks.
Why is that on the board? That is ridiculous. That should be like 1,000,000 to 1. Come on, Caesars.
This is not going to happen. All right, so just kind of focus on the top 7 here. I still think it'll be a defensive lineman, but again, the Saints are not afraid to go best player available. Or if not best player available, like, okay, we've got a few guys tied and we're going to take the position we need the most out of these few guys who are tied. And if that's not defensive lineman, we'll pick one of those up in the second round or the third round. I mean, keep in mind, they've got 3 picks in the top 70 of this draft, or top 72 of this draft. So I don't know. I mean, I would feel better if wide receiver and tight end were grouped together and I was getting, like, let's say plus 400 or plus 350 on that. Then maybe I'd be more willing to go. But it could be a receiver, it could be a tight end. It's just kind of tricky. They will take a running back at some point. I doubt it would be with the first pick unless you get a Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
So difficult question. And again, we've talked about this, Jim and I. Like, it's hard to say where they're going to go. Could they trade up? Could they trade down? Would that affect which position they take? I think those are possibilities too.
Yeah, I think it's possible they could maybe, if they really like one of the receivers, if they fall in love with somebody, they could trade up. I mean, they did it with Brandon Cooks, did it with Chris Olave. They have a history of doing that. So if there's someone they fall in love with, Jackson Smith and Jigba probably be too rich for him to trade up for, because he's probably going to be a top 12 pick. But outside of him, I don't know, they might like Quentin Johnson from TCU to get a big body guy in there, or if they want to go with another speedster, Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee comes to mind, or more of a possession guy, Jordan Addison from USC. So they've got a lot of potential options there in what could be a receiver draft that outside of JSN, these guys could slip some because he's the clear-cut top option, but outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, the rest of them, it's kind of unclear as far as where they're going to get drafted.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, I think they like those Iowa State receivers, right? But I don't think this is the year they trade up. They need to get some cheap options on that roster, and they need to move on. So the other interesting thing with the draft, the odds have been shifting for the top pick, as I mentioned at the top of the show. As soon as the Carolina Panthers, and by the way, I got shout out to Jim since he's not here. I'll pick on him. He's been saying the Saints won't pick a defensive lineman. He was also saying the Bears wouldn't trade that pick. So Jim, in the draft, it's a complicated thing. Look, Bryce Young was the favorite, but when the Panthers acquired that pick, there was this narrative that the Panthers loved C.J. Stroud, that Frank Reich was going to get C.J. Stroud in there, and he became a pretty heavy pick. I mean, I think he was like minus 250 at one point. And then we saw last week, we mentioned this on Thursday's show, Chris Mortensen said something about Bryce Young, that the Panthers really like him, and it started to shift, and now it's gotten all the way to the point where Bryce Young is the favorite again. At this point, 17 days before the draft, Spencer, who do the Panthers take? Who do the Saints see twice a year from here until the next, well, at least 4 or 5 years? Is it Bryce Young? Is it C.J. Stroud? Or do they get crazy and take a Richardson or a Will Levis?
I'll tell you what, I think it'll be Young. I think it's moving that way. Usually when the T shifts at this time of year, it usually means something. So I'm going to predict Young. I mean, he's the number one prospect in this class. He's a little undersized, but outside of that, he can make all the throws. And when you're evaluating quarterbacks nowadays, size it doesn't matter as much as it used to with the way the game's changed. I mean, Kyler Murray, when healthy, is a above average QB, and he went first overall. So I'm not really worried about Bryce Young's size. Plus, I think he's a much better passer than Kyler Murray. Probably won't run as much, but as far as a passer, he's got it. But I think there is a chance they go Anthony Richardson. So I think there's a value. To me, 16-1 is a value right now, because if they do go crazy, I definitely wouldn't think it'd be Will Levis. So I think Anthony Richardson, if they want to make that offense like a run first kind of power running kind of thing, because they've got a good defense over there, there could be some value with A. Rich. But with Frank Reich, I mean, he's been around a good amount of time now in coaching, and I don't see him getting too cute. I think he selects Bryce Young.
Yeah, Will Levis, I don't think it'll be him, and I don't see Anthony Richardson as a Frank Reich pick. He wants more of the pocket passer type guy. That's maybe why people thought Stroud to begin with. It's a difficult one, but I think you're right. I think ultimately Bryce Young's the safe pick. I'll tell you what, Saints fans should be over the moon if the pick is Anthony Richardson, because he won't be ready this year. I really do. I mean, he may be very good down the line, but you've got another couple of years where the Saints ought to be the odds-on favorite in the division if it's Anthony Richardson. So Saints fans should root for that. Another interesting one as far as the draft goes, over under on number of quarterbacks taken in the first round is 4.5. Now, these four listed below us are really safe bets, not just to go in the first round, but probably in the top 10. So there's going to be four. The question is, will there be a fifth? And Hendon Hooker of Tennessee would probably be the guy, but he's hurt. Will someone use a first-round pick on him? I'm not sure any other quarterback out there is going to be a first-round pick. So it's the number's in the right place, 4.5. Basically, what you're asking is, will Hendon Hooker get taken in the first round?
Yeah, and I'm not confident at all in that. I think he could be a first-round talent if he was healthy. I think he's a first-round talent, but he's not healthy to where I don't see him going there. I would take the under here because, if anything, Will Levis's stock's falling to the point to where he might slip out of the first round. I don't think he will, but I think there's a chance because look at the year with Drew Lock. From your alma mater, Zach, he was projected to be a first rounder and ended up slipping to the second. And I've kind of compare Levis to him and the fact that Levis is a guy, everyone loves him because of his cannon arm, but his college tape wasn't all that impressive. So I think there's a chance Hooker might sneak in there since his stock's trending up and Levis might fall out. But I still think as of now, I'd predict the four on this board to go there and Hooker probably still early second.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned quarterbacks who were supposed to be first-round picks and slipped into the second round. How about Derek Carr? I don't think the Raiders thought they were going to be able to get him. I think he was pick number 33 or 34 that year. They did not think he was going to be there on day two, and I can tell you he didn't think he was going to be there on day two, but he was. And so you never know. Will Levis, I think he's a first-round pick. I mean, but it'll be interesting. Delta Roots, how about them Dallas Cowboys? How about them?
Wrong channel, buddy.
I don't know. Hey, they've got as much talent as anybody, man. The Cowboys sooner or later could put this thing together. But I just don't know that I would bet on it.
No, I don't like the direction they're going. I mean, it's an aging roster. Dak looked terrible last year for a lot of weeks after he came back from his injury. So maybe they'll prove me wrong, but as of now, I think there's a chance Dallas might end up in the NFC East cellar. Obviously, too early to plant my flag on that, but that's we're gonna have some hot takes, y'all. Stay tuned. We're gonna have them hot and heavy this summer.
Yeah, we got to remember that for about 3 months from now when we're doing NFL futures. Cowboys to finish in the NFC East cellar. I wonder what odds you could get on that. It's not impossible. Not impossible. All right, you're watching Bayou Bets here on bet.nola.com. Zach Ewing and Spencer the Guru Urquhart with you. Check us out on the Bayou Bets YouTube channel, posting more and more content over there every week. Give us a like, a subscribe, hit your notifications so you know when we go live. We like to talk odds every Monday and Thursday at 4 o'clock. Moving on to our final topic before our rants today, that's college baseball. LSU went to South Carolina this week. They could only get 2 games in because of the weather. LSU wins a dramatic opener with a Gavin Dugas grand slam to tie the game, and then they end up winning 8-7. Lost the second game, never got the third game in. LSU remains the plus 400 favorite to win the national title. Last year at this time, Spencer, Tennessee was like plus 120. They were clearly the number one team. Tennessee only lost 4 times all year. LSU's already lost 5 times. They've lost 4 SEC games, but they have won. They won their first 3 SEC series, and then they split this one. So they're doing fine. Now Vanderbilt over in the Eastern Division is 11-1 in the SEC. I think South Carolina is 9-2. So there are teams doing a little bit better than them. What's your stock of LSU right now?
Yeah, I mean LSU, they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing. But as we all know with baseball, it's just the most talented team doesn't always win at all. And to me, LSU is the most talented team. They've clearly got the hitting needed to make a run to Omaha. Their pitching, though, especially their depth, could be a little bit shaky. So I still think they're on track. They should make a deep run, but just don't go too crazy yet. I mean, people with baseball, that's just the way baseball fans tend to be. You know, it's funny. It's like baseball fans, they know it's a marathon, but yet with their emotions, you think it's a sprint. The way every game, oh, we lost. Oh, we're in trouble. It's just so just be patient, LSU fans. You're doing fine. Just because if anything, it's good that you got 5 losses right now. Because Tennessee, I think, only had 1 or 2, and then look how they ended up when it mattered. They ended up bounced, didn't even make Omaha. So LSU, they'll be fine. Just don't overreact.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't know that I would bet them now because that number is not going to change a whole lot unless they go. What have they got? 26 games left. You know, if they go 26-0 the rest of the way, then yeah, the number will change. But you're probably going to be able to get them at plus 350 or something, plus 300 at worst going into the NCAA tournament. So I don't think I'd bet them at 400 now because, look, there could be an injury. Paul Skeens could get hurt. Dylan Cruz get hurt. I don't want that to happen, but one of these guys who's a top 10 pick gets hurt, and all of a sudden that you're left holding a plus 400 ticket that does you no good. But that I agree with you. Look, you got Paul Skeens, who's been phenomenal. He's your Friday night starter. You can match him up with anybody in the country. Ty Floyd has been fine as your number 2 starter. He can win you games. He can certainly keep you in it with that offense. He's 5-0. And then after that, it's been Thatcher Hurd has struggled. Some of your midweek guys have been okay, but you haven't tested them against the weekend. The bullpen's been pretty good. But the question in postseason really becomes, after those top 2 guys, do you have people you can turn to get innings? Because once you get into that, the SEC tournament is its own thing. I mean, if you don't win that, no big deal. But that NCAA regional weekend where you might have to play 5 games, and then obviously once you get to Omaha, when you're going to have to play 4 or 5 games to get to the championship series, you need those pitchers behind your top 2. You can't just do bullpen games every day. It's just not going to work. So somebody's got to step up. That would be my concern for LSU.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and they still got time. They still got time to figure that out. Orms can emerge here down the stretch, so I think they'll be okay.
Another comment from Delta Roots: Saints should be the favorites. He clarified later as NFC South favorites. Mm-hmm. Derek Carr can't be a turnover. Well, no, I mean, they found that out last year. Like, the Saints played. I still maintain they played well enough to be in that race all the way to the end of the year, but you can't turn the ball over like they did, especially early. Look at the Bucs games where Mark Ingram fumbled inside the 10-yard line in the first game, and then the second game, we know what happened, but they had several other games where if you just hold on to the ball, you probably win the game, and we're having a different conversation in the offseason. So.
Yeah, for sure. And Derek Carr throughout his career typically hadn't been a turnover machine. I mean, he was more turnover prone last year, and he's had some spurts where he's kind of been. But I feel like overall Derek Carr is a pretty efficient quarterback. So hopefully he and Pete Carmichael can get on the same page and get the offense more efficient. That's the key. You got to be more efficient on offense.
And Derek Carr, look, we've said this several times since he was signed. The guy was behind in every game. He's had a bottom 10 defense or bottom 12 defense every single year of his career. He either leads or is second in the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks in that time. He's always behind. And when you're always behind, you're always having to throw. Yeah, you're going to throw more picks. So the idea being that if you can play a little more conservatively and you can let your defense get stops and you can work from ahead, and you're up 10-7 at halftime or 13-10 at halftime instead of down 17-7, you don't have to force the ball down the field as much, and you're not going to throw as many picks. So that's the idea. We'll see if it works out. All right. Speaking of things that are the idea around Major League Baseball, Spencer, these days is that the Tampa Bay Rays are suddenly like unbeatable. And so far they have been. They're 10-0, and they're the first team since the 1884. Who is it? It was like the St. Louis something or others.
Before the Cardinals?
Yeah, before the Cardinals, to win all 10 games by at least 4. The St. Louis Maroons in 1884 had 13 consecutive wins by 4 or more runs. The Rays are at 10. So they look like the best team in Major League Baseball by a long shot this year. But you are here to give us Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friends.
Exactly. Yeah, they're 10-0. But look at the cupcake schedule they've played. I mean, shoot, they've played the freaking Tigers, A's, and the Nationals, I believe. All just down bad, really bad, terrible teams, whatever phrase you want to use. I mean, they are just, it's been impressive. They've whooped up on them, but this is baseball. I mean, whenever you start playing tougher teams, the tides are gonna change. I mean, you're not gonna keep winning at this rate. Even if you kept playing the bad teams, you wouldn't be winning at this rate. So Rays fans enjoy it while it lasts, because guess what? It's not gonna last. It's simply not. And I've been following baseball long enough to know how this stuff goes. These streaks, they're fun. They're fun to talk about. But when it comes to big picture, which is why we try to, calm our heads and look at the big picture, I don't see where this Rays team is really any better than they were like before the season. I don't think them being 10-0 changes my opinion on like their futures odds, for example. So if you didn't get the Rays before the season, wait till they cool off, because I'm sure the odds have shifted some to where there's not going to be any value on them right now at 10-0, because they haven't played anybody.
Rays fans, all 7 of you, Spencer's talking to you, okay? All 7 of you Rays fans are on notice. No, I agree with you. I mean, I think, look, beating up on bad teams is an underrated way to judge strength. It isn't not everybody can do that. I mean, they're not the only team that's played a bad schedule so far, and nobody else is 10-0. So I do think there's something to be said for it. And I like the Rays, but I agree with you. Like, this whole best team of, best start of all time. Could they be the best team of all time? Whoa. You got the Yankees in that division. You got the Blue Jays in that division. I think they play the Red Sox next. I don't know if that series starts tonight.
Tonight.
Yeah, it starts tonight. So Red Sox still not great, but a step up from what they've played so far. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's got to pump the brakes a little bit. Tigers, Nationals, A's, those teams are not just are they not good, they are actively they're not trying to lose. I hate that. The Dallas Mavericks the other night, they were freaking trying to lose. I could rant on that. That was pathetic. But this is not, they're not trying to lose, but they're clearly purposely putting out bad teams. They do not care if they win. And so, yeah, the Rays have beat up on them. They're impressive. Pump the brakes a little bit. All right. From pumping the brakes to hopefully hitting the gas pedal, we got to do something. Let's circle back and talk about the Pels. We've got to do something about this Zion Williamson situation. I don't know if it's Zion saying he can't go. I don't think that's the case. Last year, he was posting a picture of himself dunking. This year, he's practicing. I know a hamstring's different than a broken foot as far as you're not really, if you re-injure the hamstring, who cares? Like, okay, you're back out. Are you going to tear it in half and need surgery? I don't think that's very likely. At some point, the dude's got to play. And the Pelicans have got to say, we're going to let him play. And if he gets re-injured, he gets re-injured, and it's the offseason, and you've got 4 months to get better. Actually more than that, 6 months to get better. I just don't understand what we're doing with Zion. And part of this is that we're not being treated as adults, as media members and fans either. We get an update every couple of weeks. Oh, we're getting a new Zion update. The new Zion update is that he'll be reevaluated in 2 more weeks, or he'll be reevaluated in 3 more weeks, or he's back at practice, but he's still not ready to return to games. And then in 2 weeks, we get the same damn thing. At some point, tell us the guy's out long term, or tell us why you haven't been able to pinpoint how long he's been out, or get him out there and let him try it. He's practicing. Obviously, the hamstring's not hurting him anymore. Let him go play. And if he pulls it again, okay, then it's the offseason. He gets 6 whole months to rest, and we can be a go for the 2023-24 season. If not, if you're not saving him for these games, what are you saving him for? The season's over, guys. If you don't win 2 games this week, one of them as an underdog, the season's over. And even past that, you'll go be an underdog in Denver, a big underdog. You got to treat him like an adult. You've got to expect him to act like an adult, and you've got to treat us like adults. So Zion Williamson and the Pelicans, get it together, guys. I guess it's too late for this year, but can we please not do this again next season?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. And to me, at this point, I agree with you, Zach. I'm tired of this reevaluated, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, just if you can't trust him to play, then you might as well just trade him. Like, if you can't trust him, if he's doing dunks and all this stuff to where he's showing that he's ready to go, but you don't trust him.
I'm not buying a jersey. Who's buying a jersey of this guy?
Yeah, I bought a Brandon Ingram jersey. I didn't buy no Zion jersey because I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it to the point to where David Griffin has got to step in and be like, look, we paid him this max contract. It's like, if he isn't willing to play, if this is on him, if this is on Zion, then trade him. Simply, it's like, okay, you don't want to play Zion, you're out of here. But if this is a case of the Pels not letting him play, then the Pels they're idiots. I mean, I hate to be like that. I mean, that's their home team, but they're just, I mean, come on. It's like, you've got to play the guy at some point, even if he's not quite 100%. I know he's David Griffin's, the long game, the long-term asset, but by the time things do turn around, if they do, it's going to be a lot of fans have gotten aggravated. And then at that point, what's to say Zion gets hurt again? I mean, you've got to make him start playing through stuff. He's got to learn how to play through pain. He can't do that. I get a little ache on my side. I'm going to sit out 10 games, and it turns into 2 months. I'm just tired of it. He's got to learn. He's got to be available. You got to be available, and simple as that. Got to play.
I mean, I hate to get on people for being injured because I don't know how bad it hurts. I don't know exactly, but at some point, Occam's razor, where there's smoke, there's fire. Something is not working here, and I don't know whether it's Zion not playing when he should be playing, or if it's the Pelicans being way too careful with him. But at some point, we got to give this a try. It's a hamstring. He's not going to die if he goes out there and pulls the hamstring again. If he pulls the hamstring again, all right, then it's over for the season, and we know it. But at this point, it's about to be over anyway. So why not? As we like to say on the sports betting show, roll the dice, take a chance. Let's go. Let's see some Zion. It's not going to happen, but I can hope anyway.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, speaking of jersey sales, if he would return, make a playoff return, play-in return, that would boost jersey sales and confidence.
If the Pelicans make the playoffs and Zion comes back, and they don't even have to beat the Nuggets. They don't have to beat them. Let's say they take them to 7 games. I'll buy a Zion jersey and I'll wear it on this program. Okay. I don't really want a Zion jersey, but I'm confident that's not going to happen at this point. So I'll
join in on that. I think Jim would take that too. I would think to beat the Nuggets too. Yeah, so that'd be such a long shot.
I don't even need him to beat the Nuggets. I'll take even a game 6. Do the same thing you did last year, but Zion's got to play, and you take a couple games off the top seed like you did last year. I'll buy a Zion jersey. I'll do that. But I just don't see it happening because nobody seems to want to
worry about that.
Yeah, nobody seems to want to kind of take a chance, and I say be mature. Maybe they're being too mature. Maybe we got to be really careful. It's his 4th year in the league. Let's go. Let's roll the dice. Let's see what happens. It's the broken foot last year. I get because you re-break that foot and you're looking at surgery and then he's out. Maybe it's a long-term. It's a hamstring. He pulls it again. He pulls it again. Let's go play. All right. That's the end. They'll go play on Wednesday, the play-in tournament against Oklahoma City. 5-point favorites, New Orleans. If they win, they play Friday at Minnesota or at the Lakers. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk more NBA playoffs on Thursday because we got series prices too for quick take, Spencer. Which is your favorite of the series already set? We got Clippers Suns and Warriors Kings in the West. And in the East, we've got 76ers against the Nets and Cavs against the Knicks.
Yeah, I hate to be a hater to the Kings because they've been such a good story this year, but I don't see them beating Golden State. I think Golden State's a good bet in that series, even though they'll have to win on the road, which they've been bad about this year. But I just don't really see the Kings. They don't have the postseason experience, and Golden State has more postseason experience than anybody right now. So I'm going to go with the experience on that one and take Golden State.
I'm taking the Sacramento Kings plus 225 to win the series. Give me some light the beam, baby. Light it up.
I hope you're right, honestly. I didn't realize the odds were that much. I think
it cost me a lot of money last year to fade the Warriors, but I'm doing it again. So we'll see. We'll talk more on Thursday about the NBA
I can't
playoffs.
fade them.
Yeah, more on NFL draft, of course, which by Thursday will just be 2 weeks away, and more on baseball too. So for Spencer the Guru, I'm Zach Ewing. Jim Dare will be back on Thursday. Thanks for watching Bayou Bets. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications. You'll know when we go live. You'll know when we post videos, all of the best stuff. Check out bet.NOLA.com. And if you want to sign up for Caesars Sportsbook, get our special promo code at NOLA.com/Caesars. For Spencer the Guru, I'm Zach Ewing. Thanks for watching, everybody.